Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Out of Spec Guide. I'm Max, and I'm joined today by Francie to talk about Cybertruck. Francie, hello. I hope you're not sick about talking about this yet.
Not yet. We have been talking about it a good bit on the Out of Spec podcast over there, from the live stream to actually Kyle and Colton being there in person at the delivery event. So, no, it's definitely a hot topic of conversation. So happy to dive into it, especially from the consumer point of view. We looked at it more of just like, okay, what happened at the event over on the podcast. But yeah, happy to learn also the details that you've been researching, Max, about, someone who would really want to put down a reservation or not. Like, what should they be considering?
Yeah, so the delivery event in Austin, right, like you said, Kyle and Colton went down to that. You guys have in-depth reactions to that on the Out of Spec podcast. People can listen to or watch. There's all kinds of coverage online if people want to look at the exact specs. So, Francie, let's look at the specific, buying process for a Cybertruck right now. And like you said, the consumer oriented way of looking at it. Because right now you're watching this, you don't have a Cybertruck reservation yet, and you're wondering, should I make one? Well, Francie, Cybertruck, you've been able to reserve it for a while, right? And it's been like $100 reservation. And I think currently there's like 2 million people in line with $100 down to get a Cybertruck.
That is a long line, and everything that we've heard from Tesla recently in terms of their production. I mean, not really like shortcomings, but more like challenges that Elon and the rest of Tesla have highlighted. 2 million, any million, even if it was 1 million, that is an incredible number of reservations that I have a hard time, like envisioning that happening anytime soon. So that's a long list if you're going to hop on now, right?
It really is, because like you were saying, Elon has and Tesla themselves have said, production is probably not going to reach 250,000 units until 2025, the year after next. And that just getting through, like, let's say a half of the reservation holders went through with it, that would just be getting through a quarter of them. So it's possible, because it was such a small amount of money to put down, that that's not the case. But it's honestly hasn't changed that much since the delivery event. Okay, we know you can get different trims of Cybertruck, which I want to talk about, which trims you're likely to get when, but the deposit just went up in price. So now it's like $250. Which is more standard. Some other deposits in the auto industry are $1,000. To me, it still feels very low. It still feels like, I don't know exactly why Tesla's doing it, maybe to build excitement, but it's like, are all of those people who spend $250 really going to be serious about spending upwards of $60,000 for this truck?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it from both point of view, because if I'm thinking about putting down a reservation, it's like $250 refundable. That's kind of easier to make than like $1,000 non-refundable. And then Tesla, I think the fully refundable option is very key here, because they have a lot to deliver on here. But also, I don't know if it's to gauge interest, but thank goodness it's refundable, because people make. I mean, also people who made reservations before, and now they're seeing what's actually going to be available and might change their mind too. So, that's kind of curious there.
Yeah, it is. And initially, we covered this on Unspec Guide too. Like a few weeks back, there was some hubbub about like Tesla avoiding resale of early Cybertruck units. And so far, we haven't heard any more of that. They seem to have backtracked on adding that clause in. But the whole secondhand market for these, I'm sure, will be wild. So let's assume you're in the position of like, you do want a Cybertruck. You're not one of the people off put by its design. Maybe you love it, now that we know about that. Francie, there's 3 different ones people can get. One of which is the rear-wheel drive, which is like way, in my opinion, off into abstract territory. 2025 seems like it's kind of going to be a bit. And then we've got the 2 realistic trims that are starting to ship next year, presumably to people who already have a reservation: the all-wheel drive and the tri-motor Cyber Beast, which is the one that has all of the Halo specs, 2.6 seconds 0 to 60 with 1 foot rollout, all of that kind of, excitement and jazz going on. It seems like the all-wheel drive one will kind of be the, I hate to say this, but like value or like best option for most people as a sweet spot.
Okay.
But yeah, people can choose that. So at least we know, like, you'll know roughly how much you're spending now, but it's still not like you're committing to it. Like we said, it's refundable.
Right, definitely. It's cool to see these trims. Yeah, rear wheel drive obviously is further out than the others, but yeah, this delivery statement here that people will have the all-wheel drive and the Cyber Beast in 2024, kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, it's at this point, Francie, like let's say if you had the $250 spare, would you
Hmm.
consider doing this as like a gauge of interest? Because at this point, we know so much more about the Cybertruck. There's still things we don't know, like the range extender battery, which is like we don't know the pricing on that, and certain
Yeah.
accessories, which would bump up the promised range of this truck from 340 right to closer to that
Hmm.
500-mile figure they initially promised at 440. So like
Yeah.
that's a really important piece of the story. And that's like an example of something we just have no idea about right now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like if you were going to get a reservation right now and put down $250, refundable, you know that you're waiting and you know that there might be changes on what is going to actually perhaps be in your hands one day. So I think maybe it's like to be a part of the conversation, you have a reservation down, you'll keep up with it. But you know you're at the end of that list. I guess that's the perspective that you would come to, but you're not expecting to have a Cybertruck in your possession anytime soon. So it seems like that would be mostly for the people who are like, I want to be on the Cybertruck, gang, but I can wait forever or for a long time
Yeah.
for, until it's my turn. So it's probably, I mean, what do you think? Is it the folks that are also considering other EV trucks on the option or just like, yeah, I want to be on the Cybertruck world?
I feel like it's the latter, Francie, because, yes, this borrows bits and elements from other EV trucks. It's kind of more appealing to like a non-traditional truck audience like the Rivian R1T was. It's got the rear wheel steering like the Hummer EV, and the Cyber Beast trim in general to me seems as bonkers as the Hummer EV. But then you've got like that all-wheel drive mid one competing with the Rivian, and it's got the bi-directional power capability like the F-150 Lightning. So it's taking a lot of other bits from electric pickup trucks, but I don't know if anyone is seriously cross-shopping these, because to me, this feels like, it's for the Tesla diehards or for the
Hmm.
people who love this design. It's a very distinctive thing, and I feel like if you want your name on that list, if you want to do it and you have the $250, plonk it down. But one important thing, Francie, you're not going to be able to transfer that reservation if you're if you're hoping to do that. Like you have no intention of buying it for yourself, you can't give that reservation to a friend.
Which I think I've seen some conversation about that where it's like, I've had a reservation for a while, but with the new pricing or whatever it is, like it's not in my range. Like maybe they placed them back when they had those original imaginary specs for the future
Yeah.
Cybertruck. So yeah, you can't transfer these between people. Like that's just not an option. Maybe if you work something out on the side, sounds pretty complicated though. You'd be able to do that. So it's kind of like maybe the list will get a lot shorter. Or do you think people will just hang out on it until who knows?
I mean, especially the people who earlier on, when it was only $100, put that down. I
Hmm.
imagine, unless they're really hard for cash or really want to, send a message to Tesla and are mad about the specs not being what they promised, I think most people will actually stay on, because at this
Hmm.
point, it's not that much commitment. And it's going to be, I think, like 6 months at a minimum before a lot of these reservations are really like met with, okay, it's your turn to order now. Because
Yeah.
that's still not the case. We're not talking about people actually spending the 60 to 100 grand yet on a Cybertruck. It's still like, here's what it'll will be, and it's possible, Francie, the price could increase even further.
Exactly. We're not sure what's going to change yet because we just got all this information this week from Tesla about the Cybertruck, and we know that it changed from their original specs to now. And then, yeah, they're going to have to be building these on large scale. I know that they had a bunch at the event and a good handful delivered this week, but like you
Yeah.
said, yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens. So I think again that's why you might want to get on that list just to stay tracking along. But I think if you're probably looking to like outfit your fleet for the construction site, which Tesla really paints this as the construction vehicle here, then you're probably
Right.
going to go for a different option if you're at all pressed for time.
Yeah, like if you are considering a fleet one, maybe that rear wheel drive one could be interesting, right? As
Hmm.
it being the cheapest one, the 250-mile range maybe isn't an issue for those customers, but that is still at a minimum 2025. So a
Yeah.
lot longer to wait for Cybertruck. So I guess this is us tempering expectations a bit to tell people like, yay, it's exciting that we know the pricing and stuff. If that's not a disappointment to you, if you're still on board for Cybertruck, great. Just be aware that like when it comes to buying this vehicle, we don't really know that much more about reservations transferring into purchases.
Hmm.
Tax credit wise, though, two trims are eligible, basically not the Cyber Beast, but the rear wheel drive one should be whenever that comes out, and the all wheel drive one will be, assuming people meet the income thresholds for that. So
Hmm.
$7,500, also potentially a applicable point of sale next year. That could be
Yeah.
cool.
That could be cool. I know that the pricing was different from those original numbers that they put out, and it seems to kind of match what's on the market, $100,000 truck or less, electric truck. So I feel like that fits in. So if you are considering this amongst others, it kind of comes down to timing and what you need. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how long the wait list is for the Ford Lightning or Rivian, but it seems like you're more likely to get one of those sooner than you are a Cybertruck.
Yeah, well, right now, Francie, there's inventory of an R1T. And the Lightning, I know certain trims are very in demand, like the cheaper ones, but certain ones of those I think you can basically get right away. So if you do need an electric pickup truck, and like you were saying, it's that work scenario, the other options probably make more sense for you. But if you're excited about Cybertruck yet, well, we've got this dose of reality now. We know the pricing. If that doesn't surprise you, which honestly it shouldn't really because of the market conditions, because like you were saying, where the competition is, it's not like Tesla's upended or changed the game. They've kind of just met the status quo. And there are some exciting, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be a downer on Cybertruck. Like this is debuting a lot of exciting technologies for Tesla, like being a high voltage vehicle, a bunch of nerdy, exciting things about that I'm sure we'll see trickle into other Tesla products, but it's still not something that's like, completely upending the industry the way some people, I think, maybe unrealistically expected it to.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were some high expectations from a facet of folks, but I think over here on the out of spec team and a lot of people too, just looking at what is possible in the space right now, had tempered expectations. I think Tesla tried to temper those a little bit too on their earlier earnings calls this year, and that's what we saw. So I wasn't super surprised. I think a lot of people were critical of it, but I think what this really appeals to is those people who are excited specifically for the Cybertruck. So I think looking at the new specs, that's important, making sure that it has what you need, and knowing that it will be coming in the future. But I feel like we're kind of waiting too, just to see more and more of these first deliveries, to see how quickly they're able to roll it out with Tesla and the production of these as well, which you said, right, 250,000 next year?
By 2025, that's the year after next. So that's why I feel like if you don't have a reservation yet, you make one now, predict to wait maybe 2 years, maybe longer. Who knows? Maybe Tesla can really pull a miracle here. But by all accounts, I think of realism, that's probably going to be the case. One more fun wrinkle here, Francie, though. If people do have the money to put down and you put a Cybertruck deposit down, Tesla is offering those reservation holders $1,000 off the purchase or lease of another Tesla model. Like, let's say you want to get a 3 or a Y. You can do that just by having a Cybertruck reservation.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So you can, basically get a little incentive to outfit your personal fleet with a different kind of Tesla while you wait, but you could refund it too. I wonder if there's any stipulations there.
Yeah, that could be a fun loophole. Maybe just do that and you're still getting an effective, at worst case, $750. Let's say you can't refund it. That's still a net, right, discount on a new Tesla.
That's true.
And at any time, you could back out of the reservation process, which we'll see if people do. But like we were saying, you can get an R1T, you can get a Lightning right now. If you don't even want a truck, if you want something else in the Tesla lineup, of course, those are much more available. But thanks for joining me for this one, Francie. People can check out the in-depth out-of-spec podcast content that you did with Jordan and with Colton and Kyle. And then there's all kinds of coverage of this truck on the net today. Great videos from Marquez Brownlee, Jason Camiza from Haggerty, Top Gear. There's lots of stuff for people who are obsessed with this truck and want to know more. So I highly encourage you to look at that content as well. Any other thoughts, Francie, now that we have Cybertruck come from concept in 2019 to potential deliveries in 2021, delayed 2 years to where we are now? Okay, we know a little bit more. What are your thoughts on just this whole hype cycle and where we are?
I think it's definitely hyped. A lot of people are excited. I think there was a lot of disappointment, which it was just interesting to see how it unfolded, how people received the Cybertruck delivery day event. And I think it's another just interesting part of the industry moving forward to see what Tesla does in terms of offering this very odd looking, but it's here, it's real truck. And the mixed responses, I think that has just been interesting to look at in general. And of course, all the in-depth interviews, or not interviews, but overviews of the truck are really interesting to see what kind of technology Tesla has done here and really innovated on. So looking forward to learning more and covering that more without a spec too. And I think in general, it's a cool another step into the world of the utility of EVs that I'm excited to watch grow grow, because I think that's definitely a stopping point where people are like, yeah, passenger cars, great, commuters, great, but what if I really need to get some work done? So cool to see more in this space.
Absolutely. Definitely a space to follow. Even if the Mad Max styling, the apocalyptic aesthetics of Cybertruck don't do it for you, you gotta admit this is interesting. It's captivating people. It's getting their attention one way or another. And it is advancing the conversation about EVs, because I know so many people who don't care, could care less about Elon Musk or Tesla or EVs in general. And they have some opinion yet to render on Cybertruck. So it is
Exactly.
certainly stirring the conversation.
It is stirring the pot a little bit. Well, that's for sure. Yeah, thanks. And I think it's really important for you to like walk through what's available to kind of, yeah, check people's expectations. And I'd be interested to know like who listens and is really considering putting in a reservation and why you're willing to wait for it.
Yeah, please let us know in the comments. And we have to cover, of course, Cybertruck more as it comes out. I'm sure on the Out-of-Spec team, we will do our best to get our hands on one and compare and test it and do much more fun coverage there as well. But Francie, people can find you all the time doing great deep dives, analyses, interviews on the Out-of-Spec podcast, right?
Yes, that's true. Thank you, Max, for the plug. We cover everything electric vehicle and electric vehicle adjacent, as I like to say, interviews with experts in the space, covering experiences with EVs, like EV road trips or buying a new EV, and then other topics that I think are cool, from battery energy storage solutions to renewable energies and everything in between, really. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, come on over to the Out of Spec podcast, and it's great that you can get like EV 101 buyer's guide information from Max over here too. You're doing a great job, Max.
Oh, love it. Good to hear that. And you are doing an amazing job, Francie. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And stay tuned to the Out of Spec Network and Empire for more content. Thank you.